This is the FlipNerd.com Expert Real Estate Investing Show, the show for real estate investors, whether you're a veteran or brand new. I'm your host, Mike Hambright, and each week I bring you a new expert guest that will share their knowledge and lessons with you. If you're excited about real estate investing, believe in personal responsibility, and taking control of your life and financial destiny, you're in the right place. This is episode number 404, and my guest today is Gary Harper. Now, Gary and I have become very good friends, and I respect him tremendously. In fact, so much that I've recently asked him to start consulting my businesses, and he's really helped in a big way. Gary's an expert at business process and design. Yep, not too sexy, but it's really critical for your business and ultimately for your own financial well-being and for the well-being of your family. If you're stuck doing everything yourself, you're putting yourself at risk. You're not going to be able to grow, and your family could be at risk as well. Many real estate investors, even if they achieve some level of success, end up being self-employed. They don't own a business, really. The business owns them. So if you want to get out of that rat race, if that's where you're stuck, then you need to listen to today's show. We talk about why most real estate investors fail in scaling their business and end up trapped. We're also going to discuss how to avoid this if you're just getting started, and also how to change the situation if that's where you find yourself. It's going to be a great episode. Please help me welcome Gary Harper to the show. Gary, welcome to the show.
Hey, Mike, how are you today?
Good. I'm doing great. How are you, my friend?
Awesome, man. This is a great time.
Yeah, good. It's funny. I'll just share with people that are listening here. Right before I hit record, people can probably assume that before I hit record, we were talking here for a little while, getting ready and catching up a little bit as friends. But I just said that I'm grateful that I feel like I probably get more of your time than most people because we've become fast friends and have a lot of common interests and common core values and stuff. So we've been talking quite a bit lately.
Yeah, absolutely. It's weird. We haven't known each other really long, but I feel like I've known you a big portion of my life already. So,
what's funny? Literally today, this is I don't know if you saw this. I kind of ignore these things, but today I literally saw on Facebook where it says you've been friends for 1 year. So we've apparently been Facebook friends for a year.
Oh,
and
wow.
I saw it, and I was like, only a year? That was kind of surprising to me, but yeah.
Well, that's surprising. I would have thought 3 or 4 years. At this point.
Yeah. Well, that's just how long Facebook can track us back together. So, not everything.
Yeah, no, but absolutely. I really enjoy our time together. Thanks for having me on the show, man.
Yeah, it's really good to see you. So today we're going to be talking about, a lot of real estate investors, and people that have been around listening to me for a while, they hear me talk about this all the time, is that a lot of real estate investors fail because they truthfully, they give up too early. They never really kind of treat it like a business, and they fail quickly, which failure means they never even bought a house. I'm saying there's like probably 9 out of 10 people want to do it, but they never do anything. But then even those that are successful, this is kind of going to be the foundation for what we talk about today. Really what happened is, even if they're achieving some success financially, is more often than not, they're self-employed. Like they're still doing everything. Probably working harder than they did when they left the job that they hated, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So today, we're going to be talking all about kind of why we fail to scale. Like we get in this business to own a business and to, truthfully, most of us want to achieve financial freedom and then we want more time so we can travel or spend more time with family. But a lot of real estate investors, even if they are successful, are still kind of chained to their job and they can't leave. So it's going to be a good episode. Gary, hey, before we get started, for those that don't know you as well as I do, tell us a little bit more about you and your background and kind of how you got to where you are today.
Cool. Yeah. So started out at a very young age. Actually, got married at 19 years old, 20. And by the time I was 22, I was a national manager of business initiatives and development in Chicago. Oversaw numbers of employees and systems and processes for an outsourced company. And then I ended up getting bought out. The company ended up getting bought out, and I ended up working for Canon. And it was a business services division for Canon for a big portion of my career. All in all, it was about 16 years in corporate America and upper management, and oversaw hundreds of employees, a couple $1 million a month in revenue, and really got dialed in with systems and process people and management. 2004, I started buying real estate, working with my brother-in-law, Wayne Schaefer, and I had a bunch of rental properties. We started a property management company. And then 2011, left corporate America, finally, and went full-time and worked with my brother-in-law, Wayne, and we're able to scale that business to over 1,600 deals. Did 300 deals in 2016, 100 deals, 100 days. At the time, you may know Tom Olson too. Tom Olson was a part of that group, and so and then numbers of other people. Obviously, when you do that kind of thing, it's not one person, right? Everybody brings collective genius to the mind of everybody, and helps really each other, strengthen their weaknesses. And mine, what I was able to bring to the table was systems and processes,
right?
People, systems, and processes. And so Wayne brought the vision, and Tom brought the hustle, and we just were able to kind of slay it together. It was fun times. And just recently, in the last 2 years, stepped out, started helping other real estate professionals scale their businesses the way helped Wayne, and got into helping people with their systems and processes.
Yeah, that's great. And obviously, you're helping my team now, so we. It's interesting. I talked about it. I was actually on somebody else's podcast today, and he said, "Can you share your, if you leave a legacy, can you share like some of your values with us?" And I was like, "Well, actually, as you say that, I have my core values defined right here." So Gary's kind of a process and systems expert, and he works with a lot of real estate investors to help them. It's not like I didn't have values before we went through this a few weeks ago, but they're more clearly defined. And if you had me list out what my values were, it probably would have been a list of about 20. And now we've kind of summarized it down to the most important 4, which is the underpinning for everything we do in our business. And so, but just, we're very, probably a lot of people that I know, a lot of people that I've coached and mentored, they think we have a very systematic approach and lots of processes to everything we do. But we decided to take it to a whole nother level by working with Gary here. So let's kind of get in, Gary. What are some of the reasons that people fail to scale the business up and they just kind of get stuck in a rut of doing everything themselves?
Yeah, and I loved how you framed that too, because honestly, when people leave the corporate world or jobs, you really don't expect them to get into another job, right? And essentially what they do is they own their own job at this point.
Right.
And we really want to move them into the business ownership or owning a system instead of owning a job.
Right.
And the reason why we get stuck or we hit that ceiling or get frustrated is because 3 or 4 reasons really I have found. One is fear. Fear is the first one. Second is the wrong mindset. People just don't have the right mindset for what they need to do. And then lack of connections. Sometimes they just haven't opened the right door.
Yeah. Okay.
And the last one is systems and processes. And, that one sounds a little cliche because of what we just talked about, but it truly is still the way it is. I mean, there's no way that we did 100 deals in 100 days in 2016 without the right systems and processes.
Right,
right. We have to have those things as well. But fear, mindset, connections, and processes and systems is what I have found is the main 4 culprits to why we fail to scale.
So let's dive into these. So the fear part, what does that mean? That sounds kind of counterintuitive. A lot of people are afraid to stay working in corporate America or working for the man or stay doing somewhere, and they feel relieved to be out on their own. But then the fear sets in, right? What is that? Tell us about it.
Well, so the fear drives us in a lot of different ways, and it'll drive us down different paths. It'll drive us down different roads. And it's funny because I always thought people would be more fearful of failure than they would success. But studies have shown people are more fearful of success and what that looks like than failure. And so it holds us back. It's like, well, what if? And what if I tried this and it didn't work? And then if it would, but more importantly, what if it did work?
Right.
Like, what does that look like?
Right.
So they get fearful of different things, and sometimes it's not knowing. And mainly, what it comes down to, it's what we don't know. Fear is all about the unknown.
Yeah.
It's got really nothing to do with the result, failure, or success. We disguise it as those 2 things. But honestly, what fear comes down to, it comes down to the unknown. And I tell everybody, the more you understand about what's going on, the better you feel about it.
Right.
I'm scared to death to fly. I'm just going to throw it out there. I hate flying. And man, I am.
You fly almost every week, yeah.
Every week, 1,700 flights. And every time I have a ritual, I touch the plane, I ask for prayer.
You kissing the ground? Or?
Oh, man, it's so weird. Right?
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, so I'm throwing it out there for everybody to know.
Yeah.
Okay. So why is that? Because I don't really know what's going on in that cockpit, man. Now, if you bring me up to the front of the plane, I'm good. Like, I've flown before in a single engine plane with the pilot next to me. I'm good. Like, that's not scary at all. Loved it. And it's just because I don't know what's going on. It's probably a little bit of control, right?
Right.
And I have found the more areas that I have fear in is the same areas I have lack of knowledge in.
Okay.
And so the way we overcome fear in anything is knowledge.
Yeah.
We have to replace fear with knowledge.
Are you looking to change your life through real estate investing? If you're interested in either getting started or taking your business to the next level, please check out FlipNerd's Real Estate Investor Coaching Program at flipnerd.com/coaching. I'm Mike Hambright, founder of flipnerd.com. I'm not only a successful real estate investor that's purchased hundreds of houses directly myself, I've been a mentor and coach for real estate investors for over 8 years. In fact, I've mentored hundreds of other investors, many of which started with little to no prior experience. And during the time that I mentored those specific investors, they purchased over 3,500 properties. We have limited access in our program on how many people we can work with at a time. If you'd like to learn more about our FlipNerd Real Estate Investor Coaching Program, we'd like to schedule a call with you to see if you might be a fit. If this sounds exciting to you, please visit flipnerd.com/coaching to schedule a call with a member of my team. We're looking to change lives through real estate investing. I've worked with many others. If you'd like for us to consider you, please go to flipnerd.com/coaching right now to get started.
So I'm throwing it out there for everybody to know.
Yeah.
Okay. So why is that? Because I don't really know what's going on in that cockpit, man. You know. Now, if you bring me up to the front of the plane, I'm good. Like I've flown before in a single jet, single engine plane with the pilot next to me. I'm good. Like that's not scary at all. Loved it. And it's just because I don't know what's going on. It's probably a little bit of control, right?
Right.
And I have found the more areas that I have fear in is the same areas I have lack of knowledge in.
Okay.
And so the way we overcome fear in anything is knowledge.
Yeah.
We have to replace fear with knowledge.
And for a lot of people, I'd say, in a market like today where it's a different market now, right, than it was a few years ago. It's a seller's market, a little bit harder to buy, a lot more competition. Yeah. I found there's a lot of people that keep doing things the way they've been doing them, mostly out of fear, right? They're like, well, I know this worked. I just have to kind of keep doing it.
Yep.
And you're kind of like, well, it's not working, so you got to somebody, to use a cheesy, pun intended, I guess, cheesy cliche, somebody moved your cheese, right?
Yeah. No, that's true. And, I actually teach a class called Change Management, right? Mm-hmm. And part of the Change Management class comes from the book Who Moved My Cheese. Yeah. It's the same concept. It still comes back to fear. It comes back to, like you said, people get stuck where they are. They get comfortable. They get stuck where they know what they do. Yep. And so when the market changes, the reason why so many get swept under the rug at that point is they don't change. And they don't change because of the fear. It's like, well, what if I do change and it doesn't work out? So we have to replace the fear with knowledge. What is so important in my experiences is staying up on this ever-changing industry. This industry changes way too often. Yeah. When we do planning sessions, vision plans, I don't like to take it any farther out than 2 years, right? I don't mind setting like a really big goal, 10 years, 20 years down the road, but I don't like to really plan at ground level more than 2 years because especially in real estate, because the industry changes way too much. Yeah. And we talk about that knowledge and replacing that fear with knowledge. And man, I tell you, there is so much information out there today, this day and age, right? I mean, you got podcasts like this that you can stay abreast of things that are going on and get knowledge on. You have books, you have ebooks, you have magazines. I'm a part of the Think Really platform, and I write weekly in the Think Really magazine. So that's something you can do. There's blogs, there's quick tip videos. Honestly, there's a lot of things. And honest, this is going to sound. A reason I joined your mastermind, right? We're part of your mastermind. The reason I joined it is knowledge. Mm-hmm. You're going to stay abreast of everything going on as the market changes, especially when you're in the central part of the United States. It's really kind of cool where we are in Northwest Indiana because everything seems to happen on the East and West Coast first. Right. And I can stay informed and ahead of that, and it really helps keep me moving forward and doesn't let that fear cripple me. Yeah, absolutely. That's why it's so important. Yep. So let's talk a little bit about the wrong mindset. Sure. And I think you're probably going to say, some of the things we're going to talk about here are that a lot of people
want to build a business, but this is probably heavily tied to fear, but they get out and they just feel like they can do everything themselves, like they can do it better than everybody, right? But anyway, I don't want to take words out of your mouth. Let's talk about having the wrong mindset as it pertains to not being able to scale.
Yeah. And Tom Olson's a good friend of mine. I hear him say a lot, when you change what you think, you change what you do. And I think that's a really good statement. We have to start to change what we think. You have to start believing more in yourself. You have to start believing, and this goes to the people out there that, they get complacent, right? They have to challenge that complacency. The result of complacency is death. Death of business, death of growth. I mean, it's the destroyer, right? We have to constantly challenge ourselves. If you don't believe or are ashamed of who you were 12 months ago, then you're not challenging yourself enough. You don't have the right mindset. You ought to look back 12 months ago and go, man, I'm just ashamed of who that person was. I'm ashamed of where that business was. I'm ashamed that I hadn't done more at that time. But that's a good thing. You should be ashamed of it. The other thing I tell people is, somebody once asked me, Mike, they're like, who's your hero? Like who do you look up to? And I say, me, 10 years from now.
Right, yeah.
Because I need to have that mindset. I need to be like thinking always 10 years ahead and going, boy, that's where I want to be. And if you have that right mindset, then I'm going to drive myself. I'm going to push myself to the next level. It's also about when we change what we think, we change what we do. When we're all business owners, we got to get out of our own way sometimes. Sometimes we cripple ourselves and we stop ourselves right in our tracks because we stay working in our business all the time. We never let go, right? And we never take time to actually work on our business. So proud of you lately. I mean, what you've done with your business and now looking at the business from the top down and seeing what seats that you can pull yourself out of and delegate and elevate yourself to another level. Boy, that's the right mindset. And that's the kind of stuff right there that allows us to have traction to really grow our business, is when we realize, hey, I can't be everything to everybody. I can't be the cook and the dishwasher, guy. I got to be able to let go of some of this stuff and allow the business to take on a life of its own, allow the people to be empowered. We grow tremendously when we empower people.
Yeah, for sure.
Mike, I'm one of these people that you would allow. I could not work in an environment where I'm not empowered. Good people don't stay in an environment that's not empowering, right?
Yep.
They want to feel empowered. They want to feel like you trust them and you let go. And that's one of the things. Now, the other things that I feel like really hold us back as entrepreneurs is not communicating and documenting our vision. Not getting it, what we think, getting it out of our head and on paper, and then communicating it, because we can't get people excited and around us because we haven't told them where we're going, right?
Yeah, so, absolutely. As you know, we just defined this in our business, just to kind of be a little open here with what we've been doing, is a lot of stuff was in my head, and I have these goals in my head, and, I think I have been going through some changes just mentally, like you said, or just like, hey, I can't. For a lot of people that know me really well, know that we work hard. We work hard. We don't have to work hard, but this is who I am. I'm a hard worker. Yeah. I mean, if when I'm about to go on vacation here in a couple days, we're going to Mexico, and truthfully, I'll be bored out of my mind on like day 2 or 3, and so then I spend the rest of the trip, drinking fruity drinks and trying to relax. But my butt's always burning. Like I've got to be doing something.
Yeah.
But I'm getting better at that, and I know that I can't, I can't always work that hard. And back to like getting your goals out, though, I think we went through this process with me and my team to where I kind of laid out 2 plans. I'm like, guys, we can take the easy path here, which is a pretty good path for us. We've got some really good things working. We feel like we're really impacting the industry and impacting some people in a positive way, or we can take the hard path, which is harder, but we're going to impact even more people. And it took me. I've never had that discussion with my team before. I've always just said, here's what I want to do. And literally I laid it out. And in my mind, I'm like, I'm okay with the easy path if you guys are okay with that. And they said, no, we want the hard path. We're willing to do that. But it took getting their buy-in and getting them to say, now it's not just me. I'm excited for them too, because taking that hard path honestly creates a lot of opportunity for them as well, financially and, from an accomplishment standpoint. If we pull off what we're trying to pull off here, everybody can celebrate.
Right. And what was cool to watch was them feel empowered. because
Yeah.
you empowered them. But more than likely, they didn't feel like pulled along anymore. They felt like they were running with you. And
Yeah.
I mean, it was a complete change of mindset, not just you, but your old staff.
Right.
Like
Right.
everybody changed what they thought.
Yeah.
We have to, as entrepreneurs, stop doing those $10 an hour tasks, right?
Yeah.
We've got to start letting that stuff go, letting the people around us feel empowered to do it. Start leading, not managing people, not just managing, but actually leading them. And what you did was the true example of leadership. Right? It's like, guys, this is where I'd like to go, but where do you guys want to go?
Yeah. And I think part of that process, and hopefully what people are listening to here, is not just Gary patting me on the back and me patting myself on the back, but for you, it was this for people that are listening, it was a transformation of me getting buy-in from people that truthfully, when I empowered them that way, they started to say things. You even heard it you were on our meeting yesterday where one guy on my team said, I'm kind of saying, man, I'll do it, but I don't know when I'm going to get to it. And he said, let me do that. And people started taking things away from me, which is good because I've held it way in for too long. I'm the CEO, and we call it chief nerd around here, and I'm also the chief bottle washer when I need to be. So the more I can get myself out of that role, and the more I think my team, and for people that are listening, put yourself in this situation. The more your team buys in, the more responsibility you give them. Truthfully, the higher you'll fly, and some of this stuff will start to come off of your plate.
Yeah, delegating that kind of stuff. And I tell people this, you ought to start to delegate tasks that others can do 70% as well as you. Honestly, Mike, this is your business. And if you're listening today on the call watching, you are not going to find somebody that's going to do it and have the passion you have for your business. It's just not going to happen. I mean, Gary Vee says that when you listen to his episodes, right? He says, and I believe this so wholeheartedly, is 90% or better, man, that's going to be a rock solid person for you. Right. And you got to be willing to let go of those things and empower people to do that. And that's one of the reasons why we fail to scale is just we won't change the way we think.
Yeah. So the next one is connections. Let's talk about connections. We talk a lot. I talk a lot on this show about the power of my network and the importance of your network. And honestly, not to use some cheesy cliche like your network is your net worth, which I believe.
Yeah.
A lot of people say that. I think we've actually done it here because I've got a relationship with you. This is episode number 404. We've had hundreds of people on the show that I've built relationships with. And like I had dinner with Gene Guarino last night and met with a whole bunch of people at our mastermind a few weeks ago. And these relationships have helped me take my business to a whole nother level. But even if you're an individual wholesaler in a market in the middle of nowhere, like your connections are everything for you, right?
Yeah. I mean, and not only the connections you have, but what are you doing with those connections?
Right.
I mean, it's
a stack of business cards doesn't help you if you don't use it.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes I'll give a speech and I'll talk and I'll say, it doesn't matter who you know, but who knows you, right? And so the connections, your network being your net worth, all that, that's really important. And it's good to know people, but it's also good to have a good name with other people too.
Right.
And I like to ask this question. This is one of the reasons we fail to scale. We don't put our network to work. I love to say, have you thought about what your connections are doing for you? What occupation do they have?
Yeah.
When somebody thinks of Mike Hambright and then they think of somebody else, so they think automatically, how can I connect those two people? You got an email from me last night, right?
Yep.
And it was a gentleman in Tampa that I thought would make a good counterpart for you and something you're looking to do.
Right.
And it's like, hey, let's make this connection. Why? Because you're in my network.
Right.
Right. And this other gentleman, Joe Dillon's in my network. And it's like, hey, let's connect these guys. Why? Because I'm working for my network of them is working on their behalf.
Right.
And honestly, that is powerful, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, it reciprocates too, right? I mean, I've introduced you to people and you've gotten some things out of there. One of the things that I started to do early on when I'm interviewing people, and I'm saying this in a way, hopefully people aren't saying, well, these guys are just talking about themselves. No, we're talking about what you can do. Right. You can apply some of this. And not that I'm definitely not perfect, but some things that I've done well is I often ask people right now, people come on the show all the time and they spend time with me. Like, you're spending time with me right now. I know you're not even at home. You're on a business trip right now helping other clients, and you stepped out to be on the show here. And so one of the things that I often ask people, and I would encourage listeners to do this too, is when you meet somebody that has some influence, is try to help them. Try to give first. Just say, what can I do for you? You spent time with me here today. I really appreciate it. But what can I do to help you? And sometimes people are kind of caught off guard by that. Honestly, it's so rare, unfortunately, that you will catch people off guard by it. And just the fact that you offered to do that, and of course you need to really mean it as well, but just the fact that you offered to do it often catches people off guard, and it makes them want to help more, open doors for you, or do business with you, or whatever it might be. So don't just build your network, try to serve them. And then we know this, Gary, for sure. The more you help others, the more you're willing to help others, that's going to come back tenfold.
Absolutely. I have that on my wall. It says, if you help enough other people get what they want, you'll eventually get what you want. Right? And that's what it's all about. Honestly, if you can over-deliver value and not expect this payment in return, and you're doing that for your network, boy, you're gonna have people out there looking out for your back as well. And But you said earlier, first it takes building the connections. So we actually have to get out there and build the connections. We have to go to meetup groups, RIA groups, leaders, masterminds, boot camps, and I know you have many of those. And that's a great way to build that network, right? But then the second part comes in. Now you have to actually deliver value to that network, and in return receive value. So the last one that I really feel is a thing that holds us back is really systems and processes, Mike. And you can have all those other three. You can replace fear with knowledge, and you can have the right mindset, and you can get the right connections. And now the door is wide open, the phone's ringing, and business is flowing in. And then you could be dropping the ball, right? You could literally let stuff fall apart. So it's so important for me to know that we have the right systems, the right processes. And that includes vision. That includes planning ahead, having goals laid out ahead of you. It includes all that. But it also includes your processes. It includes documenting your core processes, And once we do that, we get those out, lean them out, and really make sure that they're dialed in, and then communicated to everybody on our team, and everybody's following them, and we're holding them accountable. Some pretty amazing things start to happen. Yeah,
and these are all tied together, right? It starts to eliminate some of that fear, right? Because now sometimes what happens is if you don't have systems and processes, one thing, for example, is if you have a person on your team that is not the right fit for you, you have this fear of replacing them because it's going to be a huge pain in the butt for you to train that next person. So I can just give you a kind of a real-time example. Literally, we have a bookkeeper on our team. She's been with us for almost 7 years. Awesome. We have a great relationship. She's always been part-time, and she just took on a full-time job for the first time in a long time. So she's leaving. And, but we have our processes, not that there's not always room for improvement, but we have what she does in checklists, exactly how to do things. We use Asana, as you know. We've got things just very detailed as to how to do this. Every Wednesday do that. Once a month do this. And we tell exactly how to do it, even with some videos. And we started interviewing some candidates today. Might have found somebody good. So we know that transition will be a lot smoother. So when we found out she was leaving, we were upset about it. But we were like, there in the past we would have been like, oh my God, like I got to drop everything and focus on that. And now, truthfully, we even have systems and processes where they apply to our ads. It goes into Podio. We do a personality profile all inside of Podio. So we have systems of people applying from an HR standpoint that make it easy for us to find candidates. And then when we start to onboard them, again, not that there's not room for improvement here, but historically we're like, send your resume to this email address, and I've got hundreds of those to sift through, which is a pain in the butt, So anyway.
No, I mean, it's really dialed in. It's pretty dialed in, actually. So it's pretty impressive. But, if you're sitting on the call or you're thinking, man, how am I going to do all that? How am I going to build all that? You don't have to go to that level.
No. We didn't start that way for sure. But.
Right. And, I mean, if you're out there solopreneur, you're just getting started, you're trying to get out of your own way, don't let us freak you out a little bit by saying, you've got to get all this done. You do. I'm not saying you don't. You do have to get it done. But it does take time, right?
No doubt.
What I usually tell people, because this is where people get a little freaked out, they're like, what do I do? Where do I start? Do I document everything? And I just tell them, listen, start with your core processes. Your 6 to 10 core processes, document them, get that foundation going first. And if you're on the call today and you don't know what those are and you're in real estate, let me tell you what they are. They're real simple. Your marketing for leads process is one of them. You get that documented. You're vetting the lead process. Definitely has to be documented. There's some operational processes like acquiring the property. You have to get that documented. Your wholesale process for your wholesaler, that's got to be documented. Or you're a fix and flipper, so you document your fix and flip process from the time acquired to the time it's ready to market it. And then your buy and hold process. If you're a buy and hold guy, rental guy, or lease option, or even a turnkey, you got to get that process down. Then it comes into marketing for sale process, whether it's retail or wholesale, whatever. Everybody has a marketing for sale process that they have to identify and then document. And then the last, really, one process, but it gets broken down in two, is your closing process, your A to B closings and then your B to C closings. Mm-hmm. If you guys would just start there, identify the bookmarks, the beginning, the end of those processes, get those out of your head and on paper, and they don't even have to be perfect yet, Mike, right?
No, for sure, yeah.
Just getting them out there, right?
Yeah, the funny thing is, as long as you've done one deal, you've followed a process for all of this already. Now, it might have some room for improvement, but sometimes we just start doing things in our business, and we know what to do, but it's in our head. And I think you're just going through the process of sitting down. And we use a tool called Asana for task management. You could use Excel or Word, whatever you want, and just getting it on paper. You can use a legal pad if you want to, but truthfully, technology is a little bit easier because you're going to think of something that you missed and you can go back and add it. Just think of, well, then I do this, then we do that, then call this person, then put the lockbox on the door, whatever it is. Like, we have defined processes that we do over and over again. You just got to get it out of your head, because that's the first step of getting out of your own way, is now you're going to teach somebody else how to do it.
Yeah, and there's no way to really delegate and elevate yourself to that next level and replace yourself in the positions if you don't have this documented, at least, so that you can. We use it for multiple things. We use it for training. We use it for efficiency. We use it for client commitment, turnaround time, things like that. Yep. So it's used for so many different things. It's essential. If you're a solopreneur or entrepreneur out there, and you're looking to actually scale to the next level, I'm going to tell you, first and foremost, what you got to do is you got to get your vision documented. Number two is you have to get your systems and your processes documented. Get those two first and foremost out of your head and on paper, and then things are going to start to fall into place for you. But without those two out of your head and on paper, you're going to scale. You're not going to scale properly. You're not going to have the greatest of employees. You're going to have very high stress levels. You're going to micromanage. It's going to be very complex in your business. You're not going to hire and delegate. You're going to hire and then people are going to be very frustrated around you. And the training is not going to happen properly. So you're going to have single points of failure throughout your own business. And it's just going to lead to one thing and one thing only: frustration.
Yeah. And even if you're brand new, I want to say, if you're a solopreneur right now, it doesn't mean you need to somehow convince yourself you need to go out and hire 5 people in your business. Like, you're not there yet. But even if you just go from solopreneur, one man, one woman band, to hiring a VA, I mean, one of the things that I've found, and that we have several VAs on our team that I teach people too, is, there's undoubtedly in our real estate investing business, there's a ton of administrative burden, lots of little things that have to happen. But it's the type of things, truthfully, probably 60% of our business could be done by a VA if they have clear directions. You don't have to have some high caliber executive assistant necessarily, certainly when you start, but just some of those little things like do this and do that, and file this paperwork, put this in Dropbox, have your pictures put into Dropbox for your property, list your property on Craigslist and on Flipnerd, and if you're wholesaling, all these other sites. Like, a VA can do all of that. You just need to show them how to do it. And those little things are generally not the fun things in this business. And so getting that off your plate, if you just start there, will probably cut your workload in half.
Yeah, Mike, I as a solopreneur, we do a little exercise where we list out like everything we do throughout the day.
Yeah.
Once we list it out, we put it in 4 boxes. I call them 5 boxes. The first box on the top left is everything you love and you're great at. The next box on the top right is everything you like and you're good at. The bottom left box is everything you don't like but you're still good at. And then I'd ask if you're really good at it, if you don't like it. But it's don't like and you're good at. The next box is you don't like it, but you're good. I mean, you do like it, but you're not good at it. And then the very last box is you don't like it, you're not good at it. And then you take everything you listed out that you do out that day, and you put them in those different quadrants. Right. And once you stick them in those boxes, it's really easy to hire now, because you just create a job description on everything that's in the bottom boxes, everything that you don't like. Right. Or you're not good at. And once you do that, then you can bring somebody on that's actually likes it or is good at it. A VA is nine times out of 10. It's one of those people that can do those type of things. Because usually as solopreneurs, we don't get bogged down in the transaction-based stuff.
Right.
It's like brainless, it just doesn't challenge us.
Yeah, your time's better spent finding ways to get more deals, raising money, or
Right.
God forbid, enjoying your life more, right?
Yeah, like
Going golfing or,
Okay.
going to the movies more, whatever it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So if we can just do that and get rid of the stuff, that low-hanging fruit stuff that we just don't like,
Yep.
that's a great job description for the first person we hire.
Yeah, I think so. For those of you that are listening right now, I like to kind of put in some action-oriented stuff. What do you need to go do? If some of this is resonating with you, if you're like, let me give you two examples here. If you're like I was, a corporate guy, and you're kind of tired of working for the man, you don't know how safe your job is. Just to be clear, your job is, generally speaking, not safe. Like, you could find out tomorrow that you're going to lose your job. Not to scare you, but you just don't have control, right? So you're in a business that you don't want to be in anymore, working for somebody else, and you don't really see the opportunity that you once thought was there, and you want to get into real estate investing. Well, or you are doing deals right now, and you're stuck, as we kind of talk about, you're a solopreneur, you're doing everything yourself. I think a clear path is to start to document, like, what do you do next? How do you kind of get out of that situation? Is to do a lot of the stuff that we're talked about here today. But I think the exercise that you just talked about there is to define what it is that you have to do. Like, just list, like you said, everything that you do. I have to get the mail. I have to answer the phones. I have to order my direct mail every month. I have to determine what list to mail to. I have to set my budget. Like, there's a lot of stuff that we do. But once you start to lay out, and like you said, that quadrant of what do you like to do, what do you not like to do, what are you good at, what are you not good at, essentially, then you start to find the stuff that you hate to do but that has to be done, and then you find somebody else to do that first, right?
Yep. And then you can even go one more step further. And when you look at that list, kind of put a check mark next to everything that you feel like drain your energy. When you start to, and that really defines it even further. So you're breaking down the stuff you don't like to do, but what's really important to get off your plate is the stuff you don't like to do that actually drain your energy from you as well and make you tired. And if you can do those things, I mean, if you're just making it really simple, get just those things off your plate and get them onto a VA. Boy, that's going to be huge for you. It's going to allow you to really resonate with that and spend time in an area that really helps you grow the business to the next level. Mike, if I'm helping somebody, I help and coach a lot of people, and we travel. Susan and I travel and help. If I'm helping people, I really need to help get their vision out of their head right off the bat. Right? They gotta know where they're going.
Right.
A vision without a plan, honestly, is like goals without deadlines. It's just a dream. That's all it is. And so we can't have that. We have to have a plan for our vision, or it's not accountable. So we have to get it out of our head, get it on paper, and then to start to document your processes, or core processes. So those should be the very first two things you do. Get your vision out of your head, so that when you do hire somebody, they know where they're going. Number two, the processes, so they know what they're doing. And three, those quadrants, so that you know what you're hiring for, right?
Yep.
If you do those three in those order, you're going to be a very happy person.
Yeah, for most people, it's gonna move you certainly beyond where you are today, and it's a great start to start getting yourself more towards business ownership, right, than self-employed.
Definitely owning more of a system where you're exchanging other people's time for money instead of your time for money.
Yeah, and I know some people here that buy 40, 50 houses a year, that do everything themselves, and they're okay with that. In their mind, they're okay with it. Here's what I'll tell you is your family's at risk, right? If you're doing everything and something happens to you, and I hope it doesn't, well, I'm going to knock on some wood here, but in fact, you've had some things happen yourself, right, Gary? If you don't have a team to go take care of things while you're recovering or while you're dealing with that, unless you have a really high insurance, life insurance policy or disability insurance policy, your family's going to suffer, right?
Yep, absolutely. It's going to be hard on them. It's going to be hard on you, and whether or not you think it, it's hard on you subconsciously today, because it's eating at you.
Yeah.
And you have to be able to have a game plan. It's like in business, we always coach people to have cash on hand. Well, you have to have that insurance blanket as well. You have to have something to fall back on. And this allows that. This is that insurance policy for you.
Right.
Pulls you out of the business and allows the business to be a business. and not you. So
yeah, inevitably, I told you we're going to Mexico here in another day. We're leaving for like 8 days. Honestly, what happens every time I leave, my business does better. My team always jokes, you need to leave more often. I'm like, hey, that sounds good. So, yeah, there might be some benefits there that you didn't know when you get yourself out of the way. But
Mike, I used to tell people you measure your success as a leader, not by the time you're there, but by the time you're not there.
Right, right.
So the fact that you're able to step away and it grows is a good attribute or a good compliment to the fact that you're leading properly.
Yeah.
So,
well, I have a tendency to distract people in my company. So I was like, oh, everything's running just fine. Well, let me throw something else on your plate that you didn't know was coming. So I'm trying to get better at that.
That's good.
Yeah. Well, Gary, if folks want to learn more about this, every time I talk to you, every time you come to our mastermind, and you've been very gracious with your time, not just with me, but my team and people around us and our masterminds and stuff like that. People always want to I want to talk to Gary. How do I learn more about him? But where do folks go if they want to learn more about you and your company and what's going on?
Well, I have some videos on YouTube, so if you want to watch some videos, you can do that. I'm also a Think Realty coach, so you can go to thinkrealty.com and then go under education and coaches, and you can actually watch some videos there if you sign up for their free membership. But you can go to my website at sharperprocess.com. It's Sharper, SHARPER, process, PROCESS.com, and you'll find out more about our services there. If you want some freebies, obviously there's some freebies there on YouTube, and I give a lot of good content away there. And on Think Realty, you can go there as well. So pick up the Think Realty magazine as well. There's ones at every Barnes & Noble. I write in there. And
awesome.
The thing I'm looking forward to the most, Mike, is I have a book coming out in just a couple months. I can't wait for that to hit the shelves.
Yeah, let us know when that hits the shelves, and we'll share it with our listeners as well. So that's awesome.
I appreciate that. Thank you for having me on the show today.
Awesome. Yeah, absolutely. Great to see you. Thanks for spending time with us. Everybody, this is episode number 404 with Gary Harper. At the end of the day, we're talking about some stuff that's not so sexy, but it's critical to your success, the success of your business, and to the freedoms that you're looking for. It's important, right? So I often talk about that when I'm coaching and mentoring people. I'm like, today we're going to talk about the steak, not the sizzle. But if you can figure out how to eat the steak and kind of do the work, then you can have sexy later. Yeah.
Like Cabo.
Yeah. But everybody, again, episode number 404. We appreciate you. If you haven't already, please go out and give us a positive rating on YouTube or iTunes. I kind of merged two things there. iTunes, Stitcher Radio, YouTube, anywhere else where you might be listening to this at. If you're watching it on flipnerd.com, please share it on social media. We make that pretty easy for you. That's the positive comments and the ratings and things like that are kind of the fuel that keeps us going here. After 400 episodes, I'm not giving up. I'm going to keep bringing them to you guys, but show us a little love. We'd appreciate it. Everybody have a great day. We're going to see you on another upcoming episode. Take care now. Are you looking to change your life through real estate investing? If you're interested in either getting started or taking your business to the next level, please check out FlipNerd's Real Estate Investor Coaching Program at flipnerd.com/coaching. I'm Mike Hambright, founder of flipnerd.com. I'm not only a successful real estate investor that's purchased hundreds of houses directly myself, I've been a mentor and coach for real estate investors for over 8 years. In fact, I've mentored hundreds of other investors, many of which started with little to no prior experience. And during the time that I mentored those specific investors, they purchased over 3,500 properties. There are a lot of so-called gurus and experts all across the country, most of which have nowhere near the level of personal experience needed to teach others how to build a successful and sustainable real estate investing business. Very few others have as much experience as I do, not only teaching others how to get started in real estate investing, but also showing others how to truly build a real business with systems and processes and all the tools to allow you to consistently do deals. So you have a real business, not just a hobby and not just a dream. We have limited access in our program on how many people we can work with at a time. If you'd like to learn more about our FlipNerd Real Estate Investor Coaching Program, we'd like to schedule a call with you to see if you might be a fit. If this sounds exciting to you, please visit flipnerd.com/coaching to schedule a call with a member of my team. We're looking to change lives through real estate investing. I've worked with many others. If you'd like for us to consider you, please go to flipnerd.com/coaching right now to get started. Thanks for joining us for this episode of the flipnerd.com Investing Show. If you're not yet an elite member of FlipNerd, you're missing out. We have tons of great training, including a new detailed master class published each month and live training webinars with experts twice a month. Plus, you'll get access to all of our archives, where we already have a growing library of master classes and other training videos. Elite members also get membership in our incredible online mastermind group, where many of the top real estate investors from across the country, including many of the hundreds of guests I've had on the show in the past, are already members. Whether you're brand new, looking to get started, or a veteran, you simply must join today. I promise you won't be disappointed. To learn more or join today, please visit flipnerd.com/lab. That's flipnerd.com/lab. See you on the next show.